My name is Isabella. I used to believe my family was perfect. Not rich, not famous, not powerful, but peaceful, warm, safe. My father was a quiet man, the kind of man who didn't speak much, but when he did, every word felt like truth. When he smiled, it felt like the world slowed down just to listen. My mother, she was sunlight. She filled every corner of the house with laughter. She sang while cooking, hummed while cleaning, and called me my little star every morning. And every night we ate together. My father would tell small jokes. My mother would laugh like they were the funniest things in the world. And I would watch them and think, this is love. This is forever. I didn't know forever could break. It started with silence. Not the calm silence we used to have, but a heavy, painful silence that sat between them like a wall. My father stopped telling jokes. My mother stopped laughing. At first, I told myself everything was fine. But one night, everything changed. I woke up thirsty. The house was dark. Everyone should have been asleep. But as I walked quietly toward the kitchen, I heard a voice. My mother's voice. Soft, gentle, different. She was whispering. I stopped. She wasn't talking to my father. I moved a little closer. Then I heard her say softly, I miss you too. My heart froze. I didn't fully understand, but I felt something break inside me. A cold, unfamiliar pain spread to my chest. I slowly went back to my room, laid down, and stared at the ceiling until morning. That was the night I learned something important. Sometimes the people you trust the most are living a secret life right in front of you. Days passed. I began to notice things I never noticed before. My mother dressed more carefully. She smiled at her phone. A secret smile. She went out more often, always saying, I'll be back soon. My father noticed too. I could see it in his eyes. He didn't shout. He didn't ask many questions. He just watched, quietly, painfully, and every day he became more silent. One afternoon, I came home early from school. I thought the house was empty, but as I stepped inside, I heard laughter, a man's laughter. My heart started beating so fast, I thought I would faint. I walked slowly toward the living room, and then I saw them, my mother, standing close to a man who was not my father. They weren't touching, but the way they looked at each other was louder than any betrayal. I felt my world shatter without a sound. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stood there, invisible, watching my childhood end. Then I turned around quietly, left the house, and walked for hours without knowing where I was going. That evening, everything looked normal again. My mother cooked dinner. My father sat at the table, and I sat there, holding a secret that felt heavier than my entire life. I looked at my father's face. He looked tired, not physically tired, so tired. I wanted to tell him. I wanted to scream, Dad, she's hurting you. But I couldn't, because telling him would break his heart, and staying silent was breaking mine. So I said nothing, and that silence became my prison. Weeks passed. The house grew colder every day. Then one night, everything exploded. My father looked at my mother and asked quietly, Is there someone else? Time stopped. My mother didn't answer immediately. That silence was the answer. My father closed his eyes, and in that moment, I saw a strong man break without falling. My mother finally spoke. Softly, guilty, broken. She said, "I didn't mean for it to happen. Those words destroyed everything we once were." That night, my father slept on the couch. I heard him crying, very softly, like he didn't want anyone to hear. But I heard, and something inside me changed forever. From that day on, love didn't feel safe anymore. Home didn't feel like home anymore. And I was no longer a child. I became a witness to pain. But this is not the end. Because sometimes, from the deepest pain, comes the most beautiful strength. And what happened next would change Isabella's life forever. The night everything finally broke was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that feels like the world is holding its breath, waiting for something painful to happen. I was in my room, sitting on the edge of my bed, staring at the wall. I could hear my parents in the other room. Their voices were low, but heavy, not shouting, not screaming, just breaking. My father's voice sounded tired. "Do you love him?" Silence. A long, painful, suffocating silence. Then my mother answered, "I don't know." Those 3 words were louder than thunder. I covered my mouth to stop myself from crying, because in that moment, I understood something I never wanted to understand. Love can disappear, even when you don't want it to. I heard footsteps, slow footsteps. My father walked into the bedroom. The closet door opened. Then I heard something I will never forget. The sound of a suitcase being pulled out. My heart dropped. I ran to my door and opened it just a little. I watched from the darkness of the hallway. My father was packing. Slowly, carefully, folding his clothes like he was folding memories. Every movement looked heavy, like his hands didn't have the strength to let go of the life he built. I couldn't stay hidden anymore. I walked into the room. "Dad." My voice was small, fragile. He stopped, turned around, and when I saw his face, I felt my heart shatter all over again. His eyes were red, but he tried to smile. That was the worst part. When people are hurting, but still try to smile for you. "Isabella," he said softly, "come here." I ran to him and hugged him tightly. I didn't want to let go. I was scared that if I let go, he would disappear. He held me close and whispered, "I'm sorry." I shook my head quickly. "No, Dad, don't say sorry. Please don't go. Please." My voice broke into pieces. Tears ran down my face. I felt like a little child again, begging the world not to change. He knelt down in front of me, put his hands gently on my shoulders, looked into my eyes. "Listen to me, my little star," he said, using the name he always called me. "Sometimes adults make mistakes, big mistakes, and sometimes the kindest thing to do is to walk away before we hurt each other more." I didn't understand. Or maybe I didn't want to understand. "Are you leaving me too?" I whispered. That question broke him. I saw it in his face. I saw the exact moment his heart cracked again. "No, never," he said quickly, holding my face in his hands. "I will always be your father. I will always love you. Nothing will ever change that." Behind us, my mother was standing at the door, silent, crying, but she didn't come closer. She didn't stop him. She didn't fight for him. And that hurt more than anything. My father zipped the suitcase. That sound was like the final chapter of our family closing forever. He picked it up, walked toward the door. Then he stopped, turned around one last time, looked at my mother, looked at me, and said softly, "Take care of her." My mother nodded, tears falling down her face. But it felt too late. I ran after him. "Dad, wait!" He stopped at the door. I hugged him one more time, longer than before, stronger than before, like I was trying to memorize what it felt like to be safe. He kissed my forehead and whispered, "You are strong, Isabella, stronger than you know." Then he walked out. The door closed, and the silence that followed was louder than any scream. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat by the window, waiting, hoping he would come back. But he didn't, because sometimes, when something breaks, it doesn't come back the same way again. The next morning, the house felt empty, not physically, but emotionally, like the soul of the house had left with my father. My mother tried to talk to me, tried to touch my shoulder, but I stepped away. I couldn't look at her. Not yet, maybe not ever, because in my heart, I had only one thought. Why wasn't our love enough? But I didn't know that the truth behind everything was deeper than I imagined, and the answer I was looking for would change the way I saw both of them forever. After my father left, the house became a place of echoes. Every room still looked the same table, the same chairs, the same pictures on the wall. But everything felt different, empty, cold, like the soul of our home had disappeared the moment my father walked out that door. My mother tried to act normal. She still cooked. She still cleaned. She still said, "Good morning, Isabella." But her voice was different now. It was softer, guilty, fragile. And I didn't know how to respond to her anymore. Because every time I looked at her, I didn't just see my mother. I saw the woman who broke my father's heart. Days turned into weeks. My father moved into a small apartment across the city. He called me every day. Every single day. "Did you eat? How was school? Are you okay, my little star?" And every time I heard his voice, my chest tightened because I could hear it. The pain behind his words. The loneliness hiding between his sentences. But he never complained. Never said anything bad about my mother. He just loved me. Quietly, faithfully, like he always had. One weekend, I went to visit him. His new apartment was small. Very small. There was only one bed, a small couch, and a little table by the window. But everything was clean, organized, careful, like he was trying to rebuild his life piece by piece. When I walked in, he smiled, a real smile this time, but his eyes still carried sadness. "I made your favorite," he said. He had cooked the same food he used to make when we were all together. For a moment, it felt like nothing had changed. But when we sat down to eat, there was an empty chair, and we both noticed it. But neither of us said anything. Later that night, we sat by the window. The city lights were glowing in the distance. And for the first time since everything happened, I asked him the question that had been burning inside me. "Dad, why didn't you fight for her?" He was quiet for a long time. Then he sighed softly and said, "Because love should not feel like a war, Isabella." I looked at him, confused. He continued, when someone's heart has already left, holding their body doesn't bring them back. Those words hurt, but they were gentle, honest. But don't you still love her? I whispered. He smiled sadly. I will probably always care about her. In some way. We shared a life. We shared you. He looked at me with warmth. But love changes, Isabella. And sometimes loving someone means letting them go, even if it breaks you. That night I cried, not loudly, not like a child, but quietly, like someone who is learning what real pain feels like. When I returned home the next day, my mother was sitting alone in the living room. The house was silent again, but this time, the silence felt different. Not just empty, but regretful. She looked at me carefully. Her eyes were swollen from crying. Did you see your father? She asked gently. I nodded. She hesitated, then asked, Is he okay? That question made something inside me shake, because for the first time, I saw that she was hurting too. Not the same way, but still hurting. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to shout at her, to ask her why she destroyed everything, to tell her how much pain she caused. But when I looked into her eyes, I saw guilt, deep, heavy, suffocating guilt. And suddenly, my anger didn't know where to go, because pain was everywhere, on both sides. That night, I lay in bed thinking about my father, about my mother, about love, about betrayal. And I realized something that scared me. I was standing in the middle of two broken hearts, and I didn't know which side to stand on. Days later, I came home and found my mother sitting with a letter in her hand. She looked up at me slowly. Isabella, she said softly, there's something I never told you. My heart started beating faster, because deep inside, I knew this was it. The truth, the real reason, the part of the story I didn't know, and what she was about to say would change everything I believed about her, about my father, and about love itself. That evening, the air in the house felt heavier than ever. My mother sat on the couch, holding a letter in her hands. Her fingers were shaking. I stood in front of her, silent, waiting. My heart was beating so loud, I could hear it in my ears. She looked up at me slowly. Isabella, please sit. I didn't want to sit. I didn't want to hear excuses. But something in her eyes stopped me. So I sat. For a few seconds, she said nothing, just silence. Then she took a deep breath and began. I know you think I destroyed our family. Her voice cracked. And maybe, in some ways, I did. Tears filled her eyes. But what you don't know is, our marriage was breaking long before you noticed. My chest tightened. I didn't want to hear anything that could make me understand her, because understanding her felt like betraying my father. She continued, Your father is a good man, Isabella, a very good man. He never hurt me. He never disrespected me. Her voice softened. But sometimes being a good person is not the same as being emotionally present. I frowned slightly. I didn't understand. She wiped her tears and continued slowly. For years, I felt alone, even when he was right next to me. Those words confused me. How can you feel alone when someone is with you? I asked quietly. She looked at me with a sad smile, because sometimes people stop seeing each other, even while living in the same house. She told me how my father worked long hours, how he was always tired, how their conversations slowly became shorter, emptier, until one day they almost stopped completely. No fights, no shouting, she said softly. Just distance. Then she whispered something that made my heart hurt in a different way. I tried to talk to him, Isabella, many times. My eyes widened slightly. I told him I felt lonely. I told him I needed him to listen, to feel me, to notice me. She paused. He said he was doing everything for us, for the family, for our future. I felt my chest tighten, because I knew my father. That sounded exactly like him. Loving, but quiet. Caring, but distant. My mother looked down at the letter in her hand. Then, one day, I met someone. My body tensed. My hands clenched. Even though I already knew this part, hearing it from her lips made it more real, more painful. He listened to me, she said. He asked me how I felt. He noticed when I was sad. He made me feel seen again. Tears fell down her face. And I made a mistake, Isabella. Her voice broke. A big mistake. I was silent, because now I wasn't just hearing about betrayal. I was hearing about loneliness, and that confused my heart. Do you love him? I asked softly. She shook her head slowly. No. The answer shocked me. I thought I did, but I didn't. What I felt was not love. It was escape. The room fell silent again. Then she said something I will never forget for the rest of my life. I never stopped loving your father. I just stopped feeling loved by him. Those words hit me deeply because for the first time, I saw both sides. Not just the pain of being betrayed, but the pain of feeling invisible. I know what I did was wrong, she said firmly. There is no excuse for betrayal. I take full responsibility. Her voice was stronger now. But I want you to understand something, Isabella. She looked into my eyes. Directly. Adults don't always break each other because they stop loving. Sometimes they break because they stop connecting. Tears slowly rolled down my face because my heart didn't know what to feel anymore. Anger, sadness, understanding, confusion, all mixed together. I hurt your father, she whispered, and I hurt you. Her voice became very soft. And I will regret that for the rest of my life. For the first time since everything happened, I saw my mother not as a villain, but as a broken human being, a woman who made a terrible mistake, but who was also hurting in ways I never saw. I didn't forgive her that night. I wasn't ready. But something inside me changed. A small space opened in my heart, where understanding could begin to grow. As I stood up to go to my room, she called my name softly. Isabella. I turned around. She whispered, I hope one day you can forgive me. I didn't answer, because forgiveness is not something that comes in one moment. It comes in pieces, slowly, painfully, beautifully. That night, I lay in bed thinking about everything. About my father's silent pain. About my mother's hidden loneliness. About love. And how fragile it really is. And I realized something important. Love is not just about staying. It is about seeing, listening, and choosing each other. every single day. But one question still remained in my heart. Could our broken family ever become something whole again? Time passed. Not quickly, not gently, but slowly, like a wound learning how to close. After the night my mother told me the truth, something inside me changed. I was still hurt, still confused, still carrying pieces of anger and sadness in my heart. But now, I also carried something new, understanding, and that made everything more complicated. I continued visiting my father every weekend, and every time I saw him, I saw a man rebuilding himself from the inside out. He started smiling more, not the old smile, but a quieter, stronger one. He cooked, he read books, he walked in the mornings. He was learning how to live again. One day, while we were sitting by the window, I finally asked him, "Dad, are you angry at Mom?" He looked outside for a long time before answering. Then he said softly, "I was." My heart tightened. "But I don't want to live my life carrying anger," he continued, "because anger is like drinking poison and hoping the other person gets hurt." I stayed quiet. He turned to me. "Your mother made a mistake, a painful one, but she is still human, and humans sometimes break." He paused, then added gently, "And I wasn't perfect either. That surprised me." "You weren't?" I asked. He smiled sadly. "No, I stopped listening. I stopped noticing her pain. I thought providing for the family was enough." He shook his head slowly. "I forgot that love needs attention, not just responsibility." Those words stayed with me, because now both of them had taken responsibility. Both of them had pain. Both of them had regrets. And I was standing in the middle, holding both of their hearts. Weeks later, something unexpected happened. My father came to our house, not to move back, not to argue, but to talk. I sat in my room, my heart beating fast as I listened from the hallway. They spoke calmly, gently, honestly, not like a couple in love, but like two people who once loved deeply and still cared in a different way. "I forgive you," my father said quietly. I covered my mouth, tears filling my eyes. My mother started crying. "I don't deserve that," she whispered. "No," he said gently. "Maybe you don't, but I don't want to live with hate in my heart." That moment changed everything, because forgiveness didn't fix the marriage. They didn't get back together, but it healed something deeper. It gave both of them peace. Later that night, my mother came into my room. She sat next to me. We stayed in silence for a while. Then she whispered, "Your father forgave me." I nodded. "I know." She looked at me carefully. "And you, Isabella." My heart began to beat fast again, because this was the moment, the question I had been avoiding. Could I forgive her? After everything? After the pain, the tears, the broken home? I looked at her, really looked at her, not just as my mother, but as a human being, someone who made a mistake, someone who felt lonely, someone who hurt, and was hurting. Tears rolled down my face, and slowly, I moved closer, and I hugged her. She froze for a second, then she hugged me back, tightly, like she was afraid to lose me too. "I'm still hurt," I whispered. "I know," she said softly, "but I don't want to hate you." She cried harder. "I don't want to hate you either." she said. That hug didn't erase the past. It didn't fix everything, but it was a beginning of healing. Months passed. Our family didn't go back to what was before, because some things can't be rebuilt the same way. But we became something new, something honest, something real. My father lived in his apartment. My mother stayed in the house. And I moved between both worlds. But now, there was no more shouting, no more secrets, no more lies, only truth, only respect. And slowly, a new kind of love began to grow. One evening, I sat alone by the window, watching the sunset, thinking about everything that had happened. And I realized something important. Love is not perfect. People are not perfect. Families are not perfect. But forgiveness. Forgiveness is what makes broken things beautiful again. I closed my eyes and whispered softly to myself. My name is Isabella. I have seen love break. I have seen hearts shatter. But I have also seen something stronger than pain. I have seen forgiveness. And that is the most beautiful thing of all. Thank you for watching. I hope Isabella's story touched your heart and reminded you that even in pain, there is hope, and even in broken hearts, there can be forgiveness. If you felt this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more emotional and beautiful stories. Your support means the world. Until next time, keep your hearts open and always choose love and understanding.